Okay, lesson 7.4 off your iPad. Factoring quadratic trinomials. Yesterday we started factoring quadratic trinomials. We factored a trinomial such as x squared plus 7x plus 10. It's quadratic because your x is squared. It's a trinomial because we have three terms. Okay, to factor this, remember we found the factors of 10 and added together they had to be 7. So our factors were 2 and 5. And this became, remember there's an imaginary 1 in front of this x squared. So 1 times 1 gives you 1. X times x gives you x squared. So your factors are 1x times 1x. And then we had plus 2 plus 5. Okay, well today's lesson, we're still factoring quadratic trinomials. But this time we have a number other than 1 in front of the x squared. So we're going to practice factoring these type of quadratic trinomials. I always do a table. When I have, say I have 4x squared plus 16x plus 15. To factor this, I need to find the factors of 4, which to start off I'm going to use 1 and 4. Okay. Then I need the factors of 15, which could be 1 and 15. When I add them together, I still want them to be this middle term, 16. So when it comes to having a number from the x squared, you have to pay attention to your order of numbers. Like I could alternate 15 and 1, and we'll still try 1 and 4. Okay. Are those my only factors of 15? No. I would still have 1 and 4. I could have 3 and 5 as 15. Or I could have 5 and 3. Okay. My other factors of 4 are 2 and 2. Okay, so I could have, my factors of 15 are still 1 and 15, or 15 and 1. Or my factors could be 2, 2. I could have 3, 5 for 15, or 5 and 3. Okay, so now the way we're going to check this is I'll check this first one right here. We are saying, oh, I forgot my x with this. 1x, 4x. So we're wanting to try x and 4x. And then we're wanting to try plus 1 plus 15. How do we check this? Because this is all just a guess and check process. Well, you can see right here on my table how I have outer plus inner. Outer plus inner. So you're going to take your outer terms. You're going to multiply them. Okay, what is 15 times x? We're going to get 15x. On your table, here's your outer terms. You're going to multiply them. And then you're going to take your inner terms. 1 times 4x gives me 4x. And then all we're going to do is add these. 15x plus 4x gives me 19x. I want it to be 16x, so that's not going to work. And again, here's your inner terms. Okay? Let's move down a little bit. Let's try, I don't know, let's try this one right here. Okay? So 2x, 2x. So I'm going to try 2x times 2x. And then I'm going to try plus 1 plus 15. Okay? You've got to take your outer terms and multiply. Outer terms, multiply, and we get 30x. And then, this is a different color. And then we take our inner terms. 1 times 2x gives me 2x. Here's your inner terms. Okay, once you find them, you're going to add them together. 30x plus 2x gives me 32x. I'm still looking for 16x, so that's not going to work either. You're going to get to where you can just see this in your head, but I can look at my inner terms, and I can see 2x times 5 gives me 10x. Gives me 10x. And then I can see that 2x times 3, which is my outer terms, gives me 6x. If I add these together, I'm going to get 16x, which is what I'm looking for. So the correct factorization is going to be 2x times 2x, and then plus 5 plus 3. It's not really that hard, it's just a matter of checking. Plugging in, checking, plugging in, and checking. Let's move on to our next example. I'm going to factor 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. First thing I'm going to do is write down my factors of 2x squared. I'm going to have 1x, 2x. What are our factors of 12? I can have 1 and 12, or 12 and 1. Or I can have 2 and 6, or 6 and 2. Or I could have 3 and 4, or 4 and 3. Okay, what do we want to try? What factors do we want to try first? You know, when we add them together, we're trying to get 11x. So, if, I don't know, let's try this first one. Let's see how it works. So I'm going to have x times 2x, and then plus 1 plus 12. Check it. Take your outer terms. X times 12x gives me 12x. Take your inner terms. 1 times 2x gives me 2x. And you have to add these together. I get 14x. I'm looking for 11x, so I know that's not going to be it. And then just keep trying. Keep trying until you get that 11x. Like I said, you'll get to where you can just see it. Like, I can look at these inner terms right here, and I know that 4 times 2x gives me 8x. And if I look at my outer terms, I can see 1x times 3 gives me 3x. When I add those together, I get 11x. So there's your correct factorization. We're going to have x times 2x plus 4 plus 3. Okay. Oops. Guess I should have wrote that up here. Okay. So it factors to be that right there. Let's move on. Alright, factoring 4y squared plus 7y minus 2. First thing I ask myself is, what are my factors of 4y squared? Well, I know I'm going to have 1y, 4y. That's a possibility. What are my factors of negative 2? My factors of negative 2. I could have 1, negative 2. Or I could have negative 1, positive 2. This is where it gets a little complicated, is when you have a negative number here. And I'm trying 1y, 4y. Or I could have 1y, 4y. And I could flip this order. I could have negative 2, positive 1. Or I could have positive 2, negative 1. Or other factors of 4, I could have 2y, 2y. And we'll repeat this process over. 1, negative 2, negative 1, positive 2, negative 2, positive 1, positive 2, negative 1. I'm running out of room. I'm going to try 2y and 2y with all of those as well. Okay, check. We're trying to get 7y. Okay? That's what we're trying to get when we factor this, is we're trying to get 7y when we add them together. So remember, we want to check our inner. Let's try 4y negative 2. What is 4y times negative 2? I get negative 8y. When I check my outer, I get 1y times 1, which is 1y. So negative 8y plus 1y gives me negative 7y. I want positive 7y. So I know that's not it, but since I'm just off by a sign, I'm going to try this next one where the signs are just opposite. Okay. I'm going to check my inner terms. 4y times 2y is 8y. Your outer terms, 1y times negative 1 gives me negative y. 8y minus y gives me 7y, and that's what I'm looking for. So the correct factorization is going to be y times 4y, and then plus 2 minus 1. Once you write it down, check it one more time. Take your outer, y times negative 1 gives me negative 1y, and then your inner, 4 times 2y is 8y. Add them together, you get 7y. That's what we're looking for. So there's your correct factorization. Okay? That is your correct factorization. I'm going to skip this next one because mine didn't copy off real well. Let's go on to example 4. Remember, if you need extra guidance on this, there's a videos built into your application on your iPad. Right. Let's factor negative 2x squared minus 15x minus 7. Well, I don't want my leading coefficient to be negative when I'm trying to factor, so I'm going to factor out a negative 1. Okay. Once I factor out my negative 1, what that does is just change all this to positive. So I'm going to have 2x squared plus 15x plus 7. Okay. I'm only going to factor, since I've already factored out the negative 1, I'm going to factor what's inside the parentheses. I'm going to factor this trinomial. So, I need to ask myself, what are my factors of 2x squared? Okay. Well, we could have x and 2x. Right? Factors of 7, I could have 1 and 7 or 7 and 1. X and 2x. Alright, so now we're just going to trial by error and check. We're trying to get 15x when we add them together. So, if I check this first one, I'm going to take my outside terms. 7 times x gives me 7x. And then I'm going to add my inner terms. 2x times 1 gives me 2x. 7x plus 2x gives me 9x. That's not going to work. I want 15x. Okay. So, let's try this next set. Let's take our inner terms. Well, first, let's do our outer. X times 1 gives me x plus 2x times 7 gives me 14x. Add those together, I get 15x. That's what I'm looking for. So your correct factorization is going to be x 2x plus 7 plus 1. Okay, this is not your final answer because you have to bring down that negative 1 that you already factored out. Now there's your complete factorization. Okay, we're going to be working on this assignment right here in class. Okay? We're going to be working on this in class. We're going to be doing checkpoint 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A is your homework. Okay? That's going to be due by Tuesday morning. Those are 4 problems for y'all to do by Tuesday morning. And then we'll be doing the rest of the assignment together in class.